Hello, hello, what's going on? Hey, what's up everybody? How you guys doing? I'm doing fantastic. It's been a good few months since we last chat. All right. So, I'm coming live to your screen, man, with some exciting information about the farm. But if you guys are around, so make sure to hit the like button as you join the chat, and I would really appreciate it. So my camera is going to be bouncing around a little bit because I've been looking for my phone tripod, but I couldn't find it. So it's got to be somewhere in my camera gears, but I just can't figure out where I put it the last time I used it. That's how long it has been. And I haven't been around my YouTube channel. And at one point, I actually had to even hide my YouTube channel because I was focusing on more important things. And YouTube, it's not that it was going to be a distraction, but I just wanted to put my mind off of it for a little bit until I figure some other things out. But before we get started, I'm just gonna have to hang out for a minute, wait till at least a few of you join the chat, and then we can get the ball rolling. But in the meantime, if you're joining the chat, just let me know in the comment section down below where you're joining from. And if you're catching this live stream on a replay, also feel free to let me know where you're watching from and tell me what your opinions are. All right, everybody, for those of you that have recently traveled to Congo, please let me know in the comment section down below what your experience has been like, and what are the things you like and what are the things you did not like, and we could all talk about it, because I believe that if we join hands and we talk about our experiences, we're probably going to identify some of the issues that we all go through and probably serve as a solution. So when you are planning on flying to Congo the next time, you don't have to go through these issues, because I'm a true believer that we learn from one another. Nobody knows it all. Even me, I've been traveling back and forth to Kinshasa just so I can kind of diversify everything that I'm doing over there in terms of farming and everything. But I always find myself like meeting new people, making new connections, and making sure that things get better for the next experience. You know what I mean? No matter how good or bad the experience may be, I always have hope that things are going to be okay. And then I always have hope that the next time around is going to be better than the previous time. So that is the mindset and the spirit that most of us should have when we're going to Congo to invest. Okay. So I just wanted you guys to know that it's not easy when you are planning on moving from the West to Africa to start any type of investments, because we all go through risks, because there are so many risks involved that if you think about it, you may get discouraged. But if you have a certain strategy that some might not have, then you have a shot. You know what I mean? And put aside the strategy, it is the right thing to do. It is a noble thing to do, because, first of all, think about the community, right, where you grew up in. Think about the local people that needs your services. Think about them, because you may be living your best life in the West and have the luxury to drive a car to your job and apply to multiple job opportunities, right? If you want to switch jobs, or if you don't like your job, you can wake up one morning and apply for another job, and then you move on with your life. It ain't not easy in most African countries out there. When people get the opportunity to find a new job, they hold on to it. They make sure they stay at that job for as long as they can, because they never know when it's going to be the next time they will run into that opportunity again. Okay, for those of us that are originally from Africa coming to the West, we know what we're talking about. Especially me, I grew up in Congo. I moved to United States when I was 20. I've been here long enough to kind of tell you the difference between Congo and America at least at the social level, social economic level. All right. So to be fair, I've never worked for anyone in Congo. Let me just make that clear. I was a full-time college student. I lived with my parents. I never even rented an apartment. I never even got a chance to apply for a job for that matter. My very first time entering workforce, it was when I moved to the United States back in like, a little over 11 years ago now. So with that being said, guys, when we're talking about business or doing business in Congo or in Africa, it really takes special individual to take the chance to do to enter this competitive business. When I say competitive, it doesn't necessarily mean industries are competing against each other, because Congo is not an industrialized country. You know what I mean? So like our industrial sector is very, very poor, but we don't always have to industrialize every sector. However, with what we are able to bring to the table in terms of finances and everything, you are able to start an investment with a small amount of money and work your way up. Let me go back to when I talked about providing the services, to the local people, because the opportunities that we have here, they do not have those opportunities. Now think about it this way. If you establish a business or whatever the business may be, you will need people to run it for it. Even if you were the only one running the business, but you will need people to kind of help you build it up, along the way. So that's when you're going to need the local people. I don't think you're just going to bring people around and expect them not to get paid. So with whatever you're paying them, that is contributing, that is helping. Because think of it this way, the government didn't create that job, you did. So the fact that you did create the job, someone who's probably has been chasing for a government job, who didn't really have the chance because of, these tribalism or whatever you could call it, that happens when most people have government job. They always tends to bring their own family member, so they keep it in the family, right? So if you don't know any of them, you don't have any type of connection, they'll just throw you under the bus, right? They'll just put you to the side. They will hire someone that they, either is from the family, someone that is from, from their bubble, basically. You're probably not going to be considered. Maybe your job application will not even get looked at. That's why I'm saying that by you establishing a business, it creates opportunities to the local people. If that person shows up with their application and they speak to you, right, you offer them the spot. They start coming there every day to put in the work and get paid every end of the month. I mean, that feeling alone, it's enough for you to continue putting in more efforts to help out at the local level. In the process, you're making your money too. So let me say this. How many of us here in the diaspora are saying or are planning on moving back to Africa eventually? The eventuality, it is something that we need to consider. It doesn't matter how long from now, but what I'm saying is you just have to make sure that no matter what the circumstances or no matter how long it's going to take you, you need to start preparing now. Don't just wait until it's that time and then you start your preparation. The preparation starts now. You start preparing for your future. If that is your retirement plan, do not wait any longer. I would never stop beating the dead horse when it comes down to this particular topic, because I've talked about it enough, but I feel like people need to hearing more often. All right. So we are seeing the influx of the African American community moving to Africa. If it wasn't for what Africa is providing, or like the opportunities that is in, like, that are in African countries, I mean, our brothers and sisters from the US wouldn't be moving there. You know what I mean? It only take someone who's not from there to see the potential of another society. Because as African, I didn't see those opportunities in front of me either while I lived there. It took me to fly outside of Congo to see the reality outside of the Congolese borders, so I come to a conclusion that, oh, there are so many opportunities in Congo that staying way too long in the West was is probably it's not probably the best course of action if I really want to enter this competitive business opportunity market. You know what I mean? So therefore, I started making my decision from there by starting with establishing a farm. It is still in a working process, but we're gonna get there one day. And multiple other ideas that I have. When time comes, when time is right, I am going to share that with you guys. But in the meantime, one thing you guys need to remember is that we are all expected to do something for the community. It is not an obligation, but as the Congolese who grew up there, who moved to the West, who see what the country goes through, who see what the youth of today's youth is going through, you can just not sit down and not act on it and not do anything to help change the situation. Because if you always depending on the government, I always say this, the government is good for making sure that their family have a better future, making sure that their next generation's wealth is guaranteed, so nobody from their family have to work for anyone to make money. They make sure of that. So while they do that, you also have a job to do. You also have a homework to do. You also have to get off your ass and go out there, find what is best for you. So you make sure that when you're not around, the people that you care for, the people that look up for you, that look up to you, they have something to fall back on. I'll tell you one thing, guys. Let's play this out a little bit. Coming from Africa, when we're moving to the West, right, we start from the scratch because you didn't buy a house here. Maybe you didn't sell your home to buy another house here. Most of us come here empty-handed. We barely have anything, right? So you expect to start from the scratch, learn a new language, get a new job, become more familiar with the locals and the culture and integrate the society properly, right? And it's a long process. And eventually, when you start making it, it's going to take you a very long time to buy a house and pay the mortgage off. That's if you're really willing to stick around for that 30 plus year mortgage that most banks give you. When that happened, calculate how old you were and how many more years that you have to be making that payment for. And by the time the house is paid for, how old you will be. And trying to perform a balancing act between that and looking elsewhere for investment opportunities, so you don't always have to or continue to chase to go after a 9 to 5 job to make sure that your mortgage is paid off. What about if we can reverse that? What about if we can change that? Come up with something better, right? When whomever said that money isn't happiness, that's bullshit. I cannot attest to that either. Money isn't everything, but don't get me wrong. If you broke, then you're a miserable bastard. Let's just be honest about it. Because everything that we do, everything around us revolves around money. If you need to get from point A to point B on your car, you're going to need to spend some money on gas. You know what I'm saying? If you need to get an education, you're going to have to spend money because you're looking to get a better job that pays good money, that have great benefits and all that good stuff, right? So everything in this today's most of societies today comes with a cost. So at least we know that in the American culture, individualism is more promoted than any other form of social, let's say, norms or whatever. Because in Africa, for instance, most African countries live in collective basis, so like they're more community-like. But in America, they're more individualistic. That's why you see like a lot of parents here, they lose control over their children once they hit the age 18. Because an 18-year-old, like a teenager, you ain't got nothing to say to them. They can wake up one morning and decide to move out of the house, and you have nothing to do about it, because that's what the Constitution says. And basically, you don't really have control over them. They can decide to move out of your house at any time. However, in Africa, that's not the case. Most Africans, I mean, this has nothing to do with socioeconomic situations, but in like other developed Asian nations, it's the same too. But like most people, they stay with their family for an extended period of time, and then when they move out, it's, they make sure that they either have a good, good paying job and got their life together. And if they don't have that, they're going to wait for as long as they can to make sure that happens. Okay, so that's kind of the same as us. So when you play all of this, then you're going to come to one conclusion, that coming to the West, we are at a huge disadvantage. It takes a very, very long time to get established, to start having like materials like a home and everything else. A car, you can get you can go to a dealership and buy a car on credits. That's what even mortgages do. You can buy, a house, the bank pays for it. You have to just pay the bank back with, of course, interest slapped on it. But in Africa, we don't worry about those things. If you have it, if you don't have it, it is just that simple. Let me mention the inflation that is taking place here around the world. The inflation is really hurting most of us big time. But there are solutions to that. You don't always have to stick here if things aren't working for you. You can always look elsewhere. Africa is not always the answer. But I always talk about Africa because that's where I'm from. That's where I have my interest in investing and everything else. That's why I have my farm going and everything, like that. And I also have a lot of people that found interest in that, and they have expressed their interest. They've made their move. Now they're doing their things. And if I can serve as a bridge to help you guys make your move too, and that's what this platform is for. So do not hesitate to ask me any question in the comment section down below, and we'll get to discuss this, and I'll share my experience with you as well. So let me talk to you about my recent trip briefly. You guys remember I went to Congo not too long ago. I stayed there for at least 6 weeks, and I had to come back. So while I was there, things didn't really go according to plans because of the intertribal conflicts that were happening there. That kind of affected the area where my farm is located. So unfortunately, these conflicts spill through that area as well. But before, at least 3 weeks before I went back to the US, I got a chance to go visit. If you guys interested, I'll probably leave the link to that video in the description somewhere so you guys can go and check it out. All right. So during that video, I shared with you guys the security situation that was going on over there. So the conflicts is gone. While I was there, there were checkpoints to get to your farm. You had to go through military checkpoints. You had to go through police checkpoints and all of that, just for safety measures. And I'm very, very happy that when I went there, nothing happened, and there was still hope that a lot of things could be done. But the only unfortunate things that didn't happen, I mean, the only thing unfortunately that I wasn't able to do, it was that I was already, having talks with this guy who built chicken, coops, whether in commercial level or just for your backyard for whatever purpose you have. But we ended up not taking place due to the concerns of safety that arose while I was in Kinshasa. But at least before I went back to the US, the situation was already under control. So if you guys remember, about a couple, maybe a year and a half so far already, I've planted um, cassava leaves, which we traditionally refer to as pondu. So it takes about a year or a year and a half to collect the yams. Um, my mom collected them. They harvested the yams not too long ago. It was probably a week ago or so. I'm sorry, I don't have the footage. I was going to show you guys how it, what happened and everything that took place. But unfortunately, my cameraman was out of town. The little boy has a job. He works for Canal King, so he went to another state on behalf of his job, and he talked to a friend of his that also that's also a cameraman, to see if he could go and take care of it, but he wasn't available either. So I was left with basically no one to document this whole harvest thing for me. But I apologize. Next time I'll make sure that happens. It was just the coincidence of the time frame. It was just something that I screwed it up. But my mom, harvested and everything. So we were talking, and she told me, "Hey, everything is fine here. I came here. I had no issue at all, or whatever like that." I'm like, "Oh, crap, good." So I'll tell you one thing. My mom was one of the people that actually talked me out of visiting my farm when I was in Congo, due to obviously safety reasons. And now that she went there, she saw everything that was happening, and everybody, I'd say almost 90% to 95% of the local people in that area, they've already returned home. I even had a conversation with my guy and told me that he ran into the two kids that were staying on my farm, taking care of the plants and making sure that everything runs smoothly. They were asking him when I was planning on, bringing them back on the farm, right? So they're ready to go back to work. But since I also have some other things that I had going on, I'm not ready to make that happen yet. But I'm looking into probably the end of October, or maybe the right at the beginning of November. That's when I'm gonna get everything up and running. But hearing what my mom told me about the place and what's going on over there, it made me feel good. I was very, very excited about it, because I know it's time for me to start pumping more money onto it. I got to do more weed controls. I got to make sure that everything is taken care of so we can start our next activities. Luckily, I've maintained and I kept the guy's information. When the time comes, I'm going to reach out to him so we can start the building process of the chicken house that I talked to y'all about. The delay was caused by the safety reasons. It was caused by the conflict based, pretty much, because I couldn't just do things at the time while I was in Kinshasa. So I had to put a pause on there a little bit. I even have friends that know people who worked in the government, that told me the best time to do all of that is to wait after the presidential election. But after hearing what my mom told me, if I was ready now, I would have done it like right now. But I also have other things that are more important that I need to make sure it's taken care of first. Then when the time is right, I'm going to bring this two young kid back on the farm to take care of everything, make sure everything is taken care of. But the one good thing is that the pig barn is built, and we're going to move the pigs in there as soon as possible. After selling them, I actually came across this new breeds that are originally from South Africa. My brother-in-law works at the airport, so he knows a guy, or I think he knows a farmer who imports these pigs from South Africa. And I told him when I'm ready, I'm going to reach out to you. You can talk to them and see what the requirements are, what the procedures are. Maybe if we can afford to import a certain amount directly from their company, dealing with them directly, we might probably end up cooperating with this particular farmer to see if we can purchase, a couple of breeds out of his, from him, and then we'll go from there, because it doesn't make any sense that I've built the barn and the barn is just sitting there empty with no activity whatsoever going on. That kind of breaks my heart. But hey, sometimes you just have to let things play out the way it is, right? Because I didn't, voluntarily want this to happen, but it's kind of happened on its own, and there is really nothing I could do to stop it. But at least I know now that the security concern is out of the way. Now we can, get everything up and running again. And I'm very, very, very excited about that. And I cannot wait till everything is back up and running again. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for tuning in. It's been a while. I figured that I'll come in front of you and talk to y'all. And yeah, I'm looking forward to you, telling me what your experience has been if you recently traveled to Congo, and let me know in the comment section what you think. If you have any question about farming or whatever, anything related, hit me up in the comment section down below so we can talk about it. Everybody, have a fantastic rest of your weekend. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.